Bezort's perspective. I reach the four-fingered hand of my shaggy purple lower right arm to my hollow and pass it to my upper right, answering the call as I bring it to my ear. Xartham Station Security, may I inquire as to the nature of the disturbance? I ask. The prim and proper words not a great fit for my, even for a Friendian, gruff, deep voice. The high-voiced Vecthian caller's translated speech sounds like words like may, inquire, and disturbance would be a lot more natural coming out of his mouth as he says, yes, hello there. I have some children digging through my bins. Children? You know what they're after? I ask. Probably hungry. This might be a case for social workers more than security officers. Children probably aren't looking for compromat, or stuff they could use to spoof his identity, but you never know. Yes, they appear to be sorting for metal? He says uncertainly. I blink all six of my eyes, a bit thrown by that. Metal? What do they want that for? There even metal in there? Oh, yes, quite a lot as it happens. You see, I run a repair shop and as a byproduct of my work, I generate rather a lot of scrap. It's the recycling dineural tomorrow, so I was just emptying some into my bins when I heard someone asking me what I was doing. I turned and saw that it was a group of children. I explained it to them, answered all their follow-up questions, and then when they went away, I thought it was a little odd, but I just shrugged it off and went back inside. That was until 20 minutes later, when they came back with baskets and a tarp, opened up my bins and started pulling out armfuls of rubbish. So you spoke to him? They're Thankfian kids? I ask. He made it sound like he didn't know them, and while he's not obliged to know every member of his species on the station, he probably would. They're not Thekthians, no. I don't know what species they are, but they're small, maybe a bit less than a meter, green-skinned bipeds, he answers. So they was wearing translators then? Oh. I suppose they aren't children. They were just so small I thought they couldn't be fully grown. You tried talking to him? Asked him to stop? Yes, I did. They told me that, as I didn't want these things anymore, I didn't have the right to stop them from taking them. They scared me a little, he says. They threatened you? No. Not directly, anyway. Just something about the way they were looking at me. It was unnerving. It made me feel as if I oughtn't to push the issue. I sigh. All right, sir. Tell me where you are, and we'll be along to have a word with him in a few minutes. I'm inside F & Sons Repairs in the shopping district. They're in the alley by the side. Got it. See you soon, I say, hanging up. I stand and look down at my partners. Monos, the Tacturn 3-meter Clicklow, and Quaestor, the 2.4-meter Quillian with a personality as prickly as his back. We got a situation, we gotta No! I frown down at Questor as I press close the weapons cupboard he's trying to open. It's a call about meter-tall bipeds going through bins. You do not need a pulse gun, Rambo. The little Heisterstein man erects his quills and scowls up at me for comparing him to the anti-hero of that old Terran tragedy the three of us watched recently, but doesn't say anything as he turns to make his way through the door with Monos. I come out and take the lead as the door locks behind us, and we start wending our way through Xartham's broad, tall corridors. People cut a wide berth around us as they see us approach. It makes sense, I guess. We are a group of 2 Class 8s in security uniforms and a High 7, not in a uniform because of the quills, but it always makes me a bit exhausted, the way most people are so obviously scared of Friendians. I guess that's primarily why I like spending time with those odd folks I meet, who are the same class or higher than me. When I share a table with Clicklow, a Spellbook or a Terran, I can just tell they aren't scared that I'm gonna reach across the table to crush their skull in my fist, at the slightest provocation. Quaestor isn't scared of me, but he is tiresome to hang around with for other reasons. Quillians are notoriously cantankerous and crotchety, because of the same evolutionary history that gave them a back full of spines. A few minutes pass before we make it to the shopping district, and sure enough, I see a gaggle of very childlike beings, whose species I don't recognize, sorting through piles of trash, throwing all the metal bits into baskets that already look far too heavy for anyone that size to lift, on a little tarp they've laid out on the ground. Passers-by staring quizzically at them, with dozens of different configurations of face. They're in an alley behind a shop with a worried-looking pink-furred bipedal servine man standing in the window. He looks relieved when he sees the three of us. "Alright, guys," I say, announcing myself. 6 faces all whip to me, and I instantly understand what that Vethian was talking about. At 400 kilogram, I could easily be more than 100 times their mass, and still, something about the intensity behind those eyes is unnerving. Not letting it show on my face, I keep going. "You mind explaining to me what exactly is going on here?" A female steps forward, and my attention flicks to her as she says, "The pink grasshopper deer man said this was stuff he didn't want anymore, so we're taking it." "Uh-huh. You didn't think of just buying metal if you needed that badly?" I ask. "Why would we buy something we can get for free here?" she scoffs, gesturing to the trash behind her. "Because there are rules, you little delinquent," snarls Questor, spines flared, lurching forward and pointing a poor hand down at the girl who doesn't flinch away, just training her bright, yellow, forward-facing eyes on him. My lower right hand extends to his chest, careful to avoid his forest of spines, and pushes him back behind me as I fold my uppers across my chest, assessing the group. "What's your name, young one?" "Vig," she answers, letting me know she is a young lady with the femininely flagged name. "And where you from, Vig?" "Graum," she answers, naming a planet I've never heard of. "I see what's happened here. This group must be from some underdeveloped backwater with a peculiar culture, and this is the first time they've ever left their home planet. It happens now and then. With the best part of 34,000 species kicking about the galaxy, the occasional bit of culture clash is practically unavoidable. I'm sure as soon as I explain, they'll be very embarrassed. Okay, Vig, on Graum, doing this..." I gesture to the trash her compatriots are still digging through. "Might not be a big deal, but here it makes folks uncomfortable." "No, it doesn't." She frowns, confused. "We're not uncomfortable." "Yeah," I sigh, unable to tell her she's being purposefully dense. "I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about these people." I gesture to the crowd of passers-by, rubbernecking at the bin raiders being confronted by security officers. But mainly, I'm talking about the guy who owns this shop. I point behind them. This is his trash, and he don't want you digging through it. Her mouth falls open, and she narrows her eyes at me in difficult to fake confusion before asking, "How can it be his trash? He said he put it in here because he doesn't want it anymore. He put it in here to be taken away. Why does it matter whether it's us who take it away, or whoever normally does it?" I give a frustrated sigh and answer, "Because normally it's done by a sanitation droid that takes it to be recycled without digging through it, without leaving piles of the stuff it don't want behind, and without examining any of it. There might be stuff in there he don't want anyone to see." "Like what?" she asks, as if the word embarrassment would be another one flagged as a lone word she wasn't fully comfortable with yet. "Like anything. Like that's his business and none of yours." She shrugs her shoulders and answers, "We just want the metal. We'll put everything else back." "You'll put it all back, right now, or I'm placing the lot of you under arrest." "What's going on here?" comes a harsh, guttural translated voice of someone standing behind me and about a meter shorter. I turn and see a species I don't recognize for the second time today. They must be quite fragile, Judging by the protective rubbery green shoes, their 6 sharp feet are slipped inside, and the 21, 22, 23, 24 bungs of the same material they have placed onto the 3 spines on each of those legs to protect them from being snapped off. Regardless, there they stand, a face not showing even a little hesitation over confronting a Friendian, a Clicklow, and a Quillian. Their faces scratch scars that cross one of 2 large eyes, and must have blinded 2 of the smaller ones, covered by a patch. Their mouth is flanked by long, metallic-looking red fangs, and is full of the same stuff. I gesture to the bin raiders. Yeah, know these guys, sir or ma'am? I'm a ma'am to you, and yes, I know them. Is there a problem here? Carefully, since something about this woman sets me on edge, despite her seemingly fragile body, I answer, yes, ma'am. We were just attempting to get them to stop raiding people's bins for metal. The arachnoid woman gives an exasperated sigh and prays, Weaver preserve me, before leaning around me to say, Vic, did you think of showing the soldier here your hollow? The one Emiko gave you? The one with your credentials on it? What credentials? I ask, very confused. What the fuck kind of credentials would make digging through bins acceptable? Is this some kind of harebrained new guerrilla sanitation inspection method, or... The black and red exoskeleton woman produces a holopad with a GU diplomatic seal displayed and hands it to me. I take it and hold it to my lower arms, low enough for my much shorter companions to see. It's fake, sneers Questor. It's genuine, I correct, before the diplomat can, dazed. Yes, it's genuine. That woman behind you and I are both diplomats, and the others are part of her retinue, which means, as unbecoming of diplomats as their behavior is covered by diplomatic immunity. I finish for her, my voice dead. Precisely, she confirms, simply, taking back her hollow. This is not even slightly how I saw this interaction going. Feeling a bit hamstrung, I turn back to the tiny humanoids and say, Could I please ask you to at least put all of the stuff you're not taking back in the bin when you're done? Sure, shrugs the girl. I think we were about done anyway. Sure enough, at that moment, her companions get off the tarp and, without a word needing to be spoken, go to the corners and gather them up, working together to tip all of the rejected trash back into the bin, before folding up the tarp and placing it into one of the baskets that, clearly intentionally, had a little more space in the top to accommodate it. I watch from the moment they try to pick up those baskets and realize how much they've overburdened them, meaning they'll either not be able to lift them, or they will and they'll break, spilling that metal they seem to think is so precious everywhere. It doesn't come. Instead, each of the little bipeds goes to a basket, all of which have got to have more than 3 kilograms of scrap metal in, and casually lift into their chests with only slight apparent effort. I stand, agog, looking at the species I didn't know existed until a moment ago, that have just demonstrated strength consistent with being class 9s. I'd even say that they'd have to be higher if I didn't know there was only one type of people that's higher, and they're definitely not any kind of Terran. I'm going to have to look up that species later. I thought I knew all species above 7. Those are the ones law enforcers have to be aware of, after all. As the apparent diplomat, Vig woman, draws up to the much larger Dorsetopod, the latter extends a 3-fingered hand to the former's forehead and flicks it with a claw of that red stuff. Ting! Comes the solid, reverberating sound that makes me doubt that the stuff's anything like as fragile as I took it for. Ow! Snarls the smaller woman, up with the larger. Spirits was that for? What part of low profile challenged your comprehension, half-wit? Returns the arachnoid, just as angrily, as she turns to walk away with the line of bin-raiding diplomats. The part where I'm supposed to let enough metal to arm 10 villages just go to waste. By the time you get that metal back to our planet, it's not going to be worth... I stop listening and slump, dejectedly. What the fuck am I going to write in the report for this?